Last night, while the world slept beneath a blanket of stars and silence, something extraordinary happened in an invisible realm, where souls speak truths that mouths cannot utter. Someone you've been carrying in the quiet chambers of your heart. Someone whose name still echoes in your prayers, even when you try to convince yourself you've moved on, had a dream about you. But listen closely, because this wasn't just another random dream that fades with the morning light. This wasn't their subconscious sorting through memories like old photographs. No, this was heaven itself breaking through the veil, reaching across dimensions of time and space and hurt and healing to deliver a message that's been waiting for exactly the right moment to arrive. In this dream, they saw you not as you were, but as you are becoming. They felt your presence not as a memory, but as a current, as if your soul reached out and touched theirs while both of you were surrendered to sleep, vulnerable and unguarded. And in that sacred space where the ego cannot interfere and the mind cannot build walls, they were shown something about you, about the connection you share, about the invisible thread that's been pulling you back together even as you walk in opposite directions. Their spirit recognized something their waking consciousness has been too afraid to acknowledge. They felt the warmth of your energy wrapping around them like it used to, but different now, stronger somehow, more grounded, more purposeful. When they woke up, their heart was racing. They reached for their phone, your name already forming on their lips, fingers hovering over your contact like a prayer they didn't know how to say out loud. But they stopped. Fear stepped in. Doubt whispered its familiar lies. Yet something has shifted inside them now, something they cannot unshift, cannot unsee, cannot unfeel. That dream planted a seed, and heaven is about to water it with circumstances you cannot orchestrate and timing you cannot control. This is the beginning of something that was written in the stars before either of you took your first breath. And if you're hearing these words right now, if something inside you is stirred with recognition, with hope, with that peculiar mixture of excitement and terror that comes when the divine is moving, then you need to pay attention, because your soul already knows what your mind is about to discover. The dream they had wasn't just about you. It was for you. It was the first crack in a dam that's been holding back a flood of transformation. You might be wondering why now. Why after all this time? Why after all the silence and separation? And nights you cried asking heaven for a sign that you weren't crazy for still believing in something everyone else told you to let go of. The timing isn't random. The universe doesn't send dreams like cosmic accidents. Every vision that breaks through in the night, every sudden inexplicable thought of someone, every song that plays at exactly the right moment carries intention, carries purpose, carries a fingerprint of something far greater than coincidence. This dream arrived now because finally, after months or maybe years of preparation, both of your frequencies are aligned in a way they've never been before. Think about the work you've been doing on yourself, even when it felt invisible, even when it felt pointless. Think about the healing you've been walking through, the old patterns you've been breaking, the versions of yourself you've been brave enough to let die so new ones could be born. Every meditation, every journal entry, every moment you chose peace over revenge, forgiveness over bitterness, faith over fear has been recalibrating your energy, raising your vibration, making you ready for what's coming. And they've been on their own journey too, even if you couldn't see it, even if they seemed stuck or lost or moving further away from you. The divine has been working on both of you simultaneously, in different ways, through different lessons, preparing you for a reunion that won't repeat the mistakes of the past, because you're not the same people anymore. This dream came now because you're finally ready to receive what you've been praying for without destroying it. You're ready to love without losing yourself. You're ready to trust without abandoning your boundaries. You're ready to open your heart without making someone else responsible for healing it. And somewhere in their soul, they're beginning to sense that readiness in you. They're beginning to feel safe in ways they never felt before. The dream was heaven's way of bypassing all the mental barriers, all the excuses, all the fear-based stories they've been telling themselves about why connection with you isn't possible. While they slept, their defenses were down, and truth could finally get through. The message was simple but profound. You've been running from the very thing your soul has been searching for, and now that the seed has been planted, now that the veil has been pulled back even for a moment, they cannot fully return pretending you don't matter. They cannot unknow what their spirit has shown them. The divine timing of his dream is perfect because everything else needed to fall into place first. Certain lessons needed to be learned. Certain illusions needed to shatter. Certain versions of both of you needed to be released back to the universe. And now, in this precious present moment, the path forward is finally clear even if you cannot see the full picture yet. In the landscape of that dream, where logic dissolves and the soul speaks in symbols and sensations, they were given glimpses of future that both terrified and magnetized them. They saw your smile, but not as a faded memory, rather as something living and close and warm, the way sunlight feels on skin after a long winter. They saw your eyes looking at them with a depth of understanding they'd forgotten was possible between two people, a recognition that transcends words, that says, I see who you really are beneath all the armor, and I'm not afraid. They felt your hand in theirs, and it wasn't the past recreated. It was something entirely new, steadier, more intentional, the kind of touch that says, I choose you not because I need you, but because together we're more aligned with our purpose than we ever could be apart. The dream showed them conversations that haven't happened yet, dialogues where old wounds are finally named and released, where apologies that have lived silently in hearts for too long are finally spoken into existence, where truth replaces pretense and vulnerability becomes a new language of connection. They saw you laughing together in a kitchen filled with morning light. Such a simple scene, but it pierced their heart because they realized how much they'd missed the ordinary magic of your presence. The way joy feels different when you're the one creating it with them. They saw themselves telling you things they've never told anyone. Secrets they've carried in isolation. And instead of judgment, they felt your acceptance washing over them like grace. They witnessed a version of love they didn't know was possible. One that doesn't demand perfection, but celebrates growth. One that doesn't punish the past, but honors the journey. And here's what shook them most deeply. They saw a purpose emerging from your union. Something bigger than romance. Something that looked like mission, like you two together are meant to create something, heal something, build something that will ripple out and touch others. They saw themselves standing beside you not just as a partner, but as a co-creator of something meaningful. And that vision awakened a longing they didn't know lived inside them. When they woke from this dream, their pillow was wet with tears they didn't remember crying. Their chest felt cracked open, exposed, tender in a way that made them want to run and stay simultaneously. They reached for their phone 3 times that morning and put it down 3 times because how do you text someone, I just saw our future in a dream, and it was beautiful and terrifying, and I don't know what to do with this feeling. So they're sitting with it, turning it over in their mind, trying to rationalize it away even as their heart keeps whispering, what if that was real? What if that was a preview? What if heaven was showing me what I've been too scared to choose? There's been something broken between you two, hasn't there? A wound that bled invisibly, a rupture that neither of you quite knows how to name, but both of you have felt in every moment of distance. Every conversation that didn't happen, every I'm fine that meant the opposite. Maybe it started with betrayal, with trust shattered into pieces, so small you didn't think it could ever be reassembled. Maybe it was timing, the cruelest architect, bringing you together before either of you had the tools to build something lasting, forcing you apart just when you were beginning to understand what you had. Maybe it was fear masquerading as indifference, the way people hurt the ones they love most, because loving that deeply feels like standing at the edge of a cliff with no guarantee of safe landing. Whatever created that wound, it's been there, a presence in the space between you, a ghost haunting every what if and every if only. But here's what they were shown in that dream, what heaven pulled back the curtain to reveal. That wound wasn't just destruction. It was protection. It was the universe's way of keeping you apart during a season when the intensity of your connection would have consumed you both before you were ready to contain it. You weren't prepared then for the kind of love that asked you to face every shadow, heal every trauma, become whole before you can truly merge with another soul. If you'd stayed together, if you'd forced it before its time, the weight would have crushed what was sacred between you. So the divine, in its mysterious wisdom, allowed the wound, allowed the separation, allowed the silence that felt like abandonment but was actually incubation. And during this time apart, heaven has been working behind the scenes you cannot see, in the invisible realm where prayers are answered in ways you didn't request but desperately needed. Every tear you've cried has been a healing agent. Every night you survived the ache of their absence has strengthened something in you that was too fragile before. They've been on their own operating table too, having their heart cracked open, their ego dismantled, their capacity for real love expanded beyond what they thought possible. And now something is shifting in the spiritual atmosphere around both of you. That wound, that gaping space that hurt for so long, is beginning to close. Not because you're pretending it never existed, but because you're both finally ready to let it transform into wisdom rather than letting it harden into bitterness. The scar will remain, yes, but scars are just evidence of healing, proof that something that was broken found its way back to wholeness. In their dream, they saw that scarred tissue between you glowing like gold. The Japanese are kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with precious metal, making it more valuable than it was before it shattered. Very soon, sooner than your logical mind believes possible, you're going to receive confirmation of everything that's been stirred in your spirit while hearing these words. The confirmation will come in a form that's undeniable, something that makes your heart stop for a moment because you'll recognize it as a sign you've been asking for, the evidence that you're not manufacturing hope from desperation, that this knowing inside you is real and divinely guided. It might arrive as a message you've been waiting months to receive, words on a screen that light up your phone in an unexpected hour, making your hands shake as you read them once, twice, 3 times trying to believe they're actually there. It might come as a chance encounter that's anything but chance, turning a corner and finding them standing there as if the universe physically moved you both to the same coordinates, because the time has finally come for face-to-face, for eye-to-eye, for the truth that can only be spoken in person. Or perhaps it will come as a deep, unexplainable knowing that washes over you like a wave, a cellular certainty that something has shifted in the spiritual realm, and the physical realm is about to catch up. But before that moment arrives, before your phone buzzes with their name, or your eyes meet theirs across a crowded space, or that knowing settles into your bones, heaven wants you to understand something crucial. This isn't about returning to what was. This isn't about resurrecting a past version of your connection and hoping it works this time. No, this is about stepping forward into what has been meticulously prepared during every moment you thought you were just surviving the separation. This is about a love that's been refined by fire, purified by distance, strengthened by individual growth, blessed by divine timing. You're not going back. You're going up, elevating into a version of connection that neither of you could have sustained before now. And there's something else, something that was revealed in that dream they had, something about your purpose together that I haven't told you yet. It's a piece of the puzzle that will only be shown when you both choose faith over fear, when you both decide to walk toward each other despite the risk, despite the memories of pain, despite every logical reason to protect your heart. That final revelation, that missing piece, is waiting for you on the other side of a choice you're about to have to make. A choice that will require you to trust in something you cannot see with your physical eyes, but can feel with every fiber of your awakened soul. Are you ready to discover what that is? Because the next part of this message will reveal what heaven has been protecting until this exact moment. And once you know it, there's no going back to pretending you don't have a destiny to step into. But that revelation that's coming next